Hello, everyone. Welcome to our live stream today. Our academy, our Google Ads Academy today is dedicated to search campaign and more specifically to our latest innovation, AI Max for search campaigns. Today, you will learn what AI Max is. You will learn how you can apply the AI Max features to your search campaigns. And you will also have the opportunity to ask us questions live during this hour we'll spend together. My name is Jessica. I'm a product lead for search campaigns. I'm based in Paris. I work with customers, agencies, our account teams, eager to bring search to the next level. And we are all dedicated here to our region, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So happy that you decided to spend this hour with us. Today, I'm also very pleased to be joined by two co-hosts. We have Brandon joining us today and Laila. Hi, both. Hello. Brandon is our search director, PM, covering everything from targeting, creative, like everything you need to get your search campaign to the next level. And Laila is a product specialist who has experience rolling out AI Max to many customers this year. And they will both join us again in a few minutes to share their expertise. So see you in a second. So let's take a closer look at what's going to happen for us in the next hour. First of all, we will have a Q&A. So please feel free to submit your question throughout the session. We're really going to make sure we have time to cover as many as possible. Once the hour is done, we would love if you can give us 1 extra minute to give us feedback. So you'll get a QR code at the very end to tell us what we can improve. And finally, if you find this session helpful and you want to share it, you want to come back to the content as well, you will receive also the deck and the video on demand in a few hours, maybe tomorrow. Now let's take a closer look at our agenda. So we'll talk about AI Max for search campaigns today. We'll give you an overview of what it is, how it works, and we'll do a deep dive into the controls that you have with AI Max and into the reporting so you can make sure you understand the performance that AI Max can drive for you. And we'll also spend time on the roadmap because it's just the beginning with AI Max and we have a lot of exciting things coming up. And Brandon will take you through the roadmap and then we'll do the Q&A. Okay, that's the plan for today. Before we go into the content, we want to ask you a couple of questions. So on the next slide, you'll see I have a couple where we'd love to see your answers in the chat. So if you don't mind playing this game with us, the first question we have for you is AI Max for search a new campaign type you have to start from scratch? Is AI Max a new campaign type? And we'll have 10 seconds to answer yes or no. Great. So waiting for all the response to come through in my chat, but I can already tell you that the answer is no. We are currently launching AI Max. It's a new suite of features that you can directly implement in your existing search campaign. So not a new campaign type, just a new settings, a lot of AI goodness that you can activate directly in your existing search campaigns. And I see majority of you said no, so this is great. But if you were not familiar, we'll unpack that together so you have all the information you need. The second question is, can AI Max for search campaigns help your business get ready for the future of search in this new AI search era? So can AI Max help your business get ready for the future of search? Frankly, it's a little bit of a non-tricky question. So I'll give you 10 seconds. Can AI Max help you get ready for the future of search? And no surprise here, the answer is yes. So AI Max has been created to help you win in this new AI era. You will see how AI is embedded into AI Max and how it will help you also show up in our new search experiences that we are currently rolling out. So yes, definitely here to help you win in this new AI era. And with that, we'll go into the content and really unpack what AI Max does. So Brendan, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Jess. So I'm really excited to talk about AI Max for Search Campaigns, which we launched earlier this year. But before I get into that, I do want to set the context for how search is changing and why we introduced AI Max for Search in the first place. So two major things are happening with AI in terms of how Google Search as a whole is evolving. So number one, it's related to how users are asking questions. So questions are becoming longer, more complex, multimodal with text, image, and in some cases even video. And also Google is updating in terms of how we respond to user intent. So no longer 10 blue links, we have some new innovative experiences like AI overviews, AI mode that help users not only get the answer to what they're looking for, but to go deeper, ask follow-up questions, just get a deeper understanding of whatever the topic is at hand. And so what's important to think about is that as this landscape of user intent, how Google is evolving is rapidly changing, it's nearly impossible to keep up with traditional manual search campaign methods like manual bidding, millions of ad groups and keywords. And so then the question becomes, how can savvy marketers keep up as search continues to evolve? And so that's why we're really pushing a lot of our AI-powered ad solutions to help marketers keep up in this new era. So the foundation of any performance strategy with Google is to make sure you have a strong engine under the hood. And for us, that's the combination of really clear measurement, make sure you have good fidelity on what you're actually trying to optimize towards, and pair that with smart bidding to make sure that we can set bids to meet your ROI in real time for every query. And then on top of that foundation, we have two primary solutions for search. First is AI Max for Search Campaigns, which we're going to talk about today. And the second is if you want to get the best of Google across all channels, Performance Max still remains a great bet. And it's the same technology under the hood on search, whether you buy AI Max for Search or Performance Max. All right, so let's talk about why we introduced AI Max for Search. It's a one-click experience, gets you the best of Google AI right in your existing search campaign. As Jess mentioned, it's not a new campaign type. You can just turn it on with one easy click, experiment with it if you want, and you get the best of Google AI. Now, what does that mean in practice? So as part of AI Max, we've introduced basically three main components of what make up AI Max for Search. The first component is to make sure that you can maximize the reach and find all these new performing intents that users are searching for. And so to do this, it's a product called Search Term Matching. We use the best of broad match technology, keywordless matching from your landing pages and creative assets to basically catch a wide net to make sure we can find all relevant intents for your goals. Now, because you have this wider net, it's really important to make sure your creatives remain highly tailored to what the user is looking for, on brand, these types of things, which is why we've paired this with text customization and final URL expansion. So make sure we can tailor the creative experience to what that user is looking for, send them to the best converting landing page on your website. So you maximize the combination of reach and creative performance. And then finally, because this is search, we know search marketers really value the control and transparency from a Google Ads search campaign. And so we've made that a core tenet of AI Max. And so we've introduced some new controls to help you have control over things like brand, geo, and in the future, some creative automation pieces that I'll talk about on the roadmap. And so that's a super brief overview, and then I'll hand it back to Jess, who will go into a little bit more detail.
Thanks, Brendan. So let's double click on each of these features. So let's start with search term matching. So with search term matching, we use billions of signals like the user purchase history, their browser, their device, things like time, location, a lot of signals that we can gather about the user. And we combine that with your signals, what you give us, meaning your keywords in your campaign, your assets, what you had written in your ads, your landing pages as well, understanding the content of what you have on your pages, to truly understand the user intent and if that intent is relevant to your business. So let's take an example here. Let's say you have a user searching for skincare for dry, sensitive skin. we are able to understand based on their signals what they are looking for, and looking into your assets, we see that, hey, you might have keywords like moisturizer. That is a signal that you could offer something that can match this need. We also leverage things like, again, your ads and your landing pages to see if you can directly address the need for skin care for dry and sensitive skin. So really here we're trying to pivot from just words, just the words typed by users, or just the words typed by yourself in your keywords, to really pivot from words to intent, to really find even more demand on search that will be relevant to your business. So with search term matching, you are able to expand the queries you can match with, while always ensuring that the intent match your business. Then the second element that Brandon mentioned is text customization. So there we are trying to create individual variation of ads in real time to make sure your message is as relevant as possible for each customer. So with that, we use assets you already provide us, like your headlines, your descriptions, and we also use generative AI to create customized ads in real time. And we've seen that using this combination of Gen AI and your assets, we are able to drive up your CTR and get more traffic to your site. Text customization is currently available in 8 languages. You have the list on screen. So we really invite you to obtain this experience and try it out to see how relevant the ads can get. Then the last of the 3 pillars is final URL expansion. So with final URL expansion, we leverage AI to crawl your site to find the URL that will be the most relevant to the user query and to the user intent. And then we're using AI to then redirect the user to that relevant landing page, because we see that this is the best way to answer the needs of the user, and also to increase your likelihood of conversion and just drive better ROI for you as a whole. So we leverage machine learning to scroll your site, and then we decide to redirect to the most relevant landing page. As Brandon mentioned before, it's just one click. So here it's an illustration of how you can implement it, and also the control you get. So typically, these 3 AI Max features can be activated in your campaign setting. You have one toggle that you can directly activate, and by default, it will activate the 3 features you mentioned. But then you're welcome to decide to opt-in or opt-out of one of the 3, depending on what you're comfortable with. But we recommend that you leverage the 3, as this is where we see the best possible performance. And then ad group level settings is also possible. So you can decide to opt in certain ad groups and not others. You are in control of the setting that you want to set. Now, one thing that is very, very important for search campaigns, we know that you love control, and that you need a lot of flexibility also to drive optimization and performance. And so with AI Max, we are giving you control. We are making sure that you keep this control that was so important in the past few years as you were optimizing your campaigns. So let's start with targeting controls. With AI Max, you still have negative keywords, and you can also use location controls, location targeting. So let's say you are a travel advertiser, or you are an omnichannel advertiser where your business is dependent on location. You can leverage location targeting controls to say, hey, this ad group is only about this specific location, or hey, this campaign is about this region, city, or country. So you really assure that all the traffic that we go through this ad group or campaign will be targeted for this specific location you care about. We also have brand controls. In this case, you can implement a brand list for inclusions or exclusions to ensure that a specific campaign is dedicated to a brand, or on the other end, if you want to exclude some brands, you can also do so. So brand inclusions and exclusion can help you here. And finally, creative controls. So 2 types of creative controls. First of all, you can, when you review the assets created by AI, by Gen AI, you can decide to remove some of them. You can also decide to provide some text guidelines, meaning like, hey, I want my ads to always talk about this topic, or to have this tone, or to exclude these terms. So using text guidelines, you will be able to educate AI to create the assets that that you're looking for. These text guidelines are coming very soon in pilot. You'll see it on the roadmap in a minute. But today you already have asset removals. And the other creative controls that you might want to use is URL exclusions. If you don't want to redirect to certain parts of your website, you can totally exclude these URLs. So I hope it gives you a sense of the different controls you are maintaining or getting by using AI Max. So now let's take a closer look at the impact of all these features and controls. So we've seen that our advertisers that are using AI Max see on average an increase of 14% of conversions or conversion value for a similar ROAS. So maybe many of you out there already have implemented some great solutions like Broadmatch in the past. Well, we see that with AI Max, you continue to get incremental performance, on average 14% across all our advertisers. And then when we take a closer look at campaigns that were only using exact and phrase, we see that this uplift is typically up to 27%. So a lot of growth made possible with AI Max. And as we continue to talk about AI Max in the next few months, you get more and more stories about AI Max. But I wanted to share today the stories of L'Oreal. So L'Oreal was one of our early testers on AI Max. And they were able to see great success in terms of improved CTR, great increased engagement overall with AI Max. Their CPA decreased and their conversion got a strong boost as well. So very, very happy with the results we're seeing with our customers using AI Max at the moment. And I hope you can get some of this performance very soon for your business as well. And with that, we'll double click now into reporting features. And so I'll hand over to Laila.
Thank you, Jess. So we just heard from Jessica and Brandon about all the advanced capabilities of AI Max. And what I wanted to talk with you about is the reporting and what new insights you can get in order to better analyze and steer your performance impact. The special thing about opting into AI Max is that aside from the regular search reports you're already used to, you'll get new and deeper insights to better help you with your performance. You'll get search term, keyword, asset, and landing page reports, all while historical data of search activity is maintained, while AI data is clearly split out of regular reports. Let's deep dive into each one of them and see how you can work with it to get more insights on your AI Max performance. The first report I usually recommend to look at is the keyword report. While we usually recommend to review the overall campaign performance to analyze target CPAs reached or volume of conversions, you clearly can see the new conversions that arrived from enabling AI Max, and also to see what each feature of AI Max brought in terms of conversions. You can also optimize, add, or remove keywords as much as needed. You may want to see what other search term reached by enabling AI Max. You can see that at the search term report and specifically look at the source and match time columns that will surface AI Max activity. On the right side, you can see an example of a dedicated view that includes AI Max landing pages and search terms. And you can clearly see the relations between a search term, a headline, and a landing page and what it brought to your website. In case you enable text customization, you'll be able to see the asset generated in the expanded final URL tab at the asset report. You can easily see the assets and combinations that were created by the text customization feature, remove assets that don't fit your product offering or brand guidelines. And the last report I wanted to share with you is the landing page. In case you enable URL expansion, you'll be able to see what landing pages were used in ads with AI Max. You will also see a dedicated column, selected by, where when you will look at advertiser selected, you will see the URLs that you manually selected for your ad groups and automatically selected for the AI Max used URLs. In case a URL is not a good choice in your opinion and you would like to exclude it, you can easily do that from the campaign setting by applying a URL exclusion. And in case you want a more granular control over the landing page that are used, you can use the ad group level URL inclusion with the campaign level URL expansion turned off. With that, you'll be able to upload a feed or define specific rules for your ads to show on specific URLs. Another question that comes up very often is from advertisers we talk to is, should I have AI Max if I already have PMax? And what is exactly the difference between them? So what's important to remember is that AI Max is specifically designed to maximize your reach on search demand. And while both AI Max and PMax are designed to use AI-powered solution, they will create customized ads for you and land the user on the relevant page. AI Max is specifically dedicated for search and will have specific search controls. One of them is the fact that it will serve only on search inventory, while PMax will serve on shopping, YouTube, display, maps, and also search. An additional specific capability for AI Max is the fact that you can toggle on or off the search partner network. And the last one that Jessica mentioned earlier is the ad group level brand and location controls. When you run both campaigns alongside each other, you may ask, will they target the same queries? And while both of them may be eligible to serve, the keyword prioritization will work as it used to be in the past. If a search term exactly matches a keyword in your account, then a search campaign will be prioritized. But in case there is no identical keyword to the search term, then the ad with the highest ad rank will be selected. We know you know, but one last question as a pulse check before we move on to the Q&A. You want to ensure your new AI Max for search campaigns is a huge success. What is the best setup to help AI perform at its best? Answer number A. Focus on writing perfect ad copy and ignore all other features. Activate all 3 AI Max features. Use conversion-based bidding and simplify the account structure. Create a new campaign for every single keyword to give the AI more data. We'll wait for your answers. Okay, so I get the answer that most of you answered answer number B, and you were definitely right. Answer number B is activating all 3 capabilities of AI Max alongside conversion-based bidding and simplified account structure will make sure that you're set up for success with the infrastructure and strong signals to help the AI bring the best keywords and the best conversions as you need for your business. Thank you all. I know that all of you, many of you submitted questions in advance. Before we move to the Q&A, we'll have a short video, and then we'll answer the pre-submitted question first, then the ones that are coming live. Coming back in a second.
All right. Well, I hope you all found the first section helpful, but now we really want to make sure that we can address every questions you still have. So thank you again to everyone who submitted questions. We'll start with a pre-shared question, and then we'll go to the one you shared live. So I'll be reading questions, and then Brandon, Laila, please join me in addressing them live. Great. So the first question we had was, what is the difference between AI Max and broad targeting? Should I keep running broad targeting alongside AI Max? So I'll start answering this one, and please feel free to add anything you want. So first of all, we would say that AI Max is a more comprehensive solution that incorporates broad match technology as well as keywordless technology. AI Max leverage keywordless elements like your assets, your landing pages to expand our understanding of what you offer, so we can better match with the intent of the user. So in the future, we think that broad match will probably just live naturally within AI Max, and that you don't need to have broad match as a standalone anymore. The broad match technology is now integrated in AI Max, but you should think about AI Max as a much more comprehensive solution than what you had with broad match. Anything to add, Brandon or Laila?
No, I'd say that's great points. And I would say if you're considering testing broad for your exact and phrase campaigns, I would encourage you to try AI Max instead, as it is sort of the superset of performance like Jessica mentioned. And even if you're using broad match, you will see benefit when you upgrade to AI Max across not only the keywordless targeting, but also the creative functionality that works well on these expanded queries.
Thanks, Brandon. The next question we had was around, okay, let me read it. When enabling AI Max, is it better to switch it on in an existing campaign or use it in a separate campaigns? Laila, I know you've done it with your customer. Do you want to share?
Yeah, sure. So since AI Max is not a new campaign type, it's settings, advanced settings inside existing search campaign, then our recommendation would usually be to enable it within an existing campaign with history so that the system can ramp up faster.
Yeah.
Anything you would like to add?
No, all good. Yeah, history of the existing campaign will definitely help with the ramp up. Thanks, Laila. The next question, I think I'll turn to you, Brandon. So question is, when will ads roll out in Google AI mode? What level of control will we have? I think there is a lot of excitement into the ads experience in AI overviews, AI mode. Maybe I just want to mention one thing, you don't need to wait to have ads in this experience to benefit from AI Max. AI Max is already helping you to capture this longer, more complex queries today. But for sure, AI Max will also help you be ready for the future experiences as well. Brandon, what can you share about AI mode?
I would just say we continue to look at usage of things like AI overviews as well as AI mode. And we're trying to make sure that we can provide high quality, contextually relevant ads within those responses when they make sense. So if there is some sort of a commercial journey possible based on that answer, and we think ad content makes sense, we'll look to try to provide a very contextually relevant ad within those experiences. I'd say things to keep in mind are we We want to make sure advertisers are using smart bidding, as these experiences perform differently than traditional search ads. We want to make sure that you use features like AI Max, both on the search term matching side, as well as in particular on the creative automation side, to make sure that the ad experience will be highly tailored in these new experiences. But I would say generally, we're still in sort of a test and see phase about what types of ads work well in these new experiences. And as we get a little bit more data, we might share more in the future. But for now, you might see some experimentation in particular in the US. But yeah, we just continue to try to find what's going to work. It's very early, in particular for AI mode.
Thanks, Brendan. Laila, maybe turning to you for the next question, as you touched on PMax in the past. The question was, what are the key differences between AI Max and PMax? Anything you want to reiterate here?
Yeah, so I think the question comes back to the person who asked it. What are the needs of the business? With PMax, they will be able to serve across all Google inventory, including YouTube and display. AI Max is served only on search, so that's one big difference. Another one is the specific control. Whether you want to opt in or out from Search Partner Network, then that would be possible with AI Max. If you want to use lifecycle goals, such as high-value new users, then you should choose PMax. But in any way, both of them have advanced AI capabilities and will be able to serve customized ads across the user journey and will be able to bring a lot of added value. So it comes back to the business and the need. Whether you have dedicated budget for your PMax for specific channels or not, then maybe you should use AI Max. If you just want to bring new leads, then maybe PMax would be kind of a wider net, with AI Max with more specific controls on search.
Thanks, Laila. Maybe one thing I would add specific to lead gen, like one thing that actually AI Max and PMax have in common is that when you use AI-powered solution, you need a very strong measurement foundations. And especially with lead gen, we see that what makes or breaks the performance with this solution is your ability to actually qualify your leads. So we would really encourage you to review your measurement foundation, ensure you use things like enhanced conversion for leads. Really make sure you put all the chances on your side to see good performance when you will activate AI Max or PMax or both together. They all rely on the data you can give AI. Moving on to the next question, we were asked about best practices. What action can we take to help AI perform at its best? Any 3-5 ways to optimize AI Max? Maybe I can start, and maybe Laila, you can share your experience as well as a specialist. One thing, again, I've noticed is measurement is absolutely key. So ensuring you have the right attribution, like data-driven attribution, is a great way to set you up for success. We are seeing that search is becoming also a discovery platform. So people are asking maybe more general questions, or also more complex questions. And data-driven attribution will help you qualify all these different touch points, give them the right value, so you can show up for these different queries with the right level of bids, for instance. So measurement is really key. And smart bidding also, like target CPA, target ROAS, are also key. And the first thing I would mention on my side is account structure. We see that AI Max is taking into account the themes of the ad group to qualify the intent, really understand what you're trying to sell with a particular ad group. So making sure that your campaign structure is really based on the theme, the business goal, is really key. We see that it's no longer a best practice to have separate campaigns by match type, by geo, by audience. This is like legacy best practice that we should no longer see with AI Max. So having clean structure around themes and business goal would definitely help. Laila, Brendan, anything you want to add?
Maybe just adding that you should probably leverage all controls that are available with AI Max. For example, brand exclusions if you don't want to get brand traffic, or just limit the URLs to a specific feed and then direct the system towards themes that are more relevant to your business. So leveraging all of that may help steer the campaign as it ramps up to bring you a better conversion rate as well.
Thanks, Laila. We got a couple of questions also around AI Max for brand campaigns. So maybe we can double click a little bit on brand control. We were asked, like, could you share recommended strategy to improve brand campaign efficiency? Any things you want to share, Laila, Brandon, on brand campaigns?
I'd say mostly about the brand controls, exclusions, inclusions. You can also maintain a negative keywords if you see something that is popping up and you want to strictly remove it. If it's about driving specific brand, then maybe incorporate that into the creative assets as well and make sure they are prominent in the content of the landing page and the ad. Again, just leverage all the controls you have to make sure you convey the right message and that the system can learn at its best what you mean, what's your brand, and everything that is related to it.
Great, thank you. We switching now to finance. So someone was asking in finance, how can I review and block auto-generated ad content that doesn't meet legal regulation? How do I ensure compliance? Maybe Brandon, I will turn to you to share like how you're thinking about this on the product side.
Yeah, so several aspects. So what we have today is something we call asset removal. So once the assets are generated, you can remove those. You can search and remove them if you want in bulk, and we won't regenerate those assets. Something we're testing as part of the text guidelines pilot that Jessica mentioned is two things. One is term exclusions. You can think of these as negative keywords for your creative content. So if you exclude specific words, we will not include those in any auto-generated assets. The second is freeform messaging restriction. So these can be more freeform natural language sentences about types of content to exclude or type of voice not to compose ads in. And then the other thing we're looking to bring is asset preview. So even before we've generated assets for you to remove, we want to show you the previews of the types of things we would generate, and then you can use text guidelines to refine that before any ads are served in the first place. And so we know this is a really important thing, not only for finance or other regulated industries, but advertisers generally. And this is a key priority for us to make sure we get right.
Thanks, Brandon. Now we're going to API. The question was, do you have AI Max for Search API? So the answer is yes. So very happy to confirm that API support was launched in August. And also Google Ads Editor support was launched in August. So hopefully these two solutions will help you implement at scale faster and help you manage your campaigns. So I'll move on to the next question. How well does AI Max work in languages other than English? Should I expect the same great results, especially for creative quality, as we think about smaller languages? So we already touched on some limitation around languages. So typically, text customization today is only available in 8 languages. But as Brandon mentioned, we are scaling to more languages next year. So in that sense, that's a limitation for text customization. But for the 8 languages that are launched, so typically Spanish, Japanese, we have quite a few, we see very, very strong performance. Maybe Brandon, you can speak to technology and what you've seen across the different languages for parity.
No, so for the languages we do support for text customization, we have common quality standards that are applied across all of these languages, and we ensure that quality is sort of on parity, right? First from English versus another language. And then we are going to try to expand to all Google Ads supported languages, at least for what we call extractive assets for things from your landing pages, like the landing page title and description, things like that, so that we're able to have coverage across all languages, if not later this year, in the first half of next year.
Thanks, Brandon. We have a question to better understand search term matching. So maybe, Brandon, you can help me with this one as well. The question was, how does AI Max keywordless approach compare to broad match? Does it operate in a different principle entirely? One thing I would say is that we made so much improvement on broad match in the past few years, typically to understand the user intent better. So there was indeed a lot of the signals that are now in AI Max were already in broad match. So typically our capacity to qualify the user based on like device and purchase history, this sort of things is already on Broad Match. So I would say the keyword part is pretty much similar to what you had with Broad Match. But now Keywordless expand beyond that in search term matching, and the focus is more towards what's happening on your site and in your creatives. So really here it's about understanding your landing page, really like crawling the content, understanding your message in your creative to understand exactly what you're trying to sell. So I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon, that on the user side, it's very similar. It's more on the content that we use from the advertiser side that we expanded going into creatives and landing pages.
Yeah, that's right. I think of it as for Broad Match, the keyword is still primary. We do look at landing page creative signals to refine that intent and make sure it's relevant when we match. I'd say the keywordless portion is much more akin to dynamic search ads, where the landing page and other features are sort of primary in terms of what we look at in terms of retrieving potentially relevant ads. But it's important to note that we look at a common quality standard regardless of it matched from a broad keyword or from your landing page to make sure that regardless of how we retrieve the ad, it still has a common understanding of what's relevant versus not.
Thanks, Brandon. Laila, I think we can maybe address this question with you on A/B testing. So the original question was for tests, should we enable AI Max on an existing campaign? I think you already addressed this point, like no, we should implement should we create in a new campaign? And the answer is yeah, you should implement in an existing campaign. But can you maybe speak to like how to run a test? What options we have on the table?
Yes, of course. So first of all, it is less recommended to use campaign experiment, just duplicating the campaign and starting a test, an A/B test from scratch. This is because AI Max uses the history of the campaign and will take longer time for ramp up. But we've recently launched a one-click experiment from AI Max, so you should definitely try that. This will, at the back end, split the users between a campaign with and without AI Max and show you the statistical significance of the results and everything that you're used to from campaign experiment, but without duplicating the campaign. And this will show you the comparison of the campaign with and without AI Max opted in. And also another option you'll have is to do something that is a bit wider, kind of an incrementality test, to change that in a certain category or a geo and see that in compare to an equivalent control group. But that's a more kind of a robust and sophisticated approach. The best one would be to do a one-click. And one more thing to add, what we strongly see with advertisers is just looking at a pre-post a performance of the campaign will show you great incremental amount of search terms that are coming through AI Max, and that would probably be the best way to test.
Yeah, Lala, one thing I would maybe add, what you described here is for a proper test when you want to have comparison. We also see another way to implement it when advertisers choose an approach that we call launch and observe. And especially now, as you're trying to like get ready for the peak season and you don't have much time left to run like a proper pre-post and the seasonality is changing and so on. Sometimes the best approach is to activate AI Max in your campaign and confirm that once the learning phase is done, about 2 weeks, we are completely meeting your ROAS targets or your CPA targets, and everything is working as intended. That's what we would call like observe. So just like activating, learning, and then confirming that you are still meeting your goals. That's often the best approach, especially when you don't have much time. Great. So now we have a couple of questions around like how to optimize AI Max campaigns when we want to improve performance. Typically someone saying like, hey, sometimes we see some irrelevant search term, like what's the best way to build a negative keyword list or just to optimize this? A couple of things to start us with. We see that the system we learn for like about 2 weeks. So some irrelevant, what you would consider irrelevant traffic could happen at the very beginning. The system is trying to understand what will drive conversion. So please give it the time to actually learn. And the second thing is like often we see things that could be considered irrelevant when there is a lot of overlap with your other campaigns. And you might think like, hey, this is irrelevant for this campaign. I wanted this traffic in these other campaigns. And in this case, it's often the result of a lot of theme overlap between your campaigns. And so this is one scenario where we would advise that you review account structure to really make sure that this is as transparent as possible for the system to understand in terms of like theme and goal of that campaign. And that reduces a lot the what you could consider irrelevant at a campaign level. Anything you want to add, Laila, Brendan?
Yeah, maybe just from experience with advertisers, sometimes we see a search term that it initially doesn't look like the immediate related to what we have in the account, but then it brings conversions. So what I actually say is that sometimes we also need to trust the AI and the learning that is happening at the back end, and kind of have rule of thumb on where we put the threshold of a keyword that is spending and not bringing any conversion. And only that, because the question also touched on the negative keywords, only when keywords is spending for sometimes with a certain amount of dollar amount, then we should exclude it. But before that, trust the AI and let it bring the conversion. It will learn.
Thanks, Laila. Great. So now we're moving into your live questions. Thank you so much for all the engagement prior and now live as well. So we got question again on AI modes. I think, Brendan, you've already covered some of it, but let me know if you think about anything else. The question is, AI mode will start showing ads, and the only way for ads to show in AI mode will be to use AI Max and PMax. Can you maybe unpack that?
Yeah, so maybe first, based on the user query, if we think there's a commercial enough intent that we can show top ads above AI mode or the AI overview, that just works based on regular ads. There's nothing you need to think about. Your ads are eligible for those queries. Now, when we want to show a contextual ad within the AI overview or within AI mode, right now, because these intents are much different than a traditional search, and some of it's derived from the AI mode answer itself, we are taking a more conservative approach and saying you need to be using broad match, dynamic search ads, shopping campaigns, or PMax. So one of our more automated targeting products that's adaptive to these types of intents. But it's not AI Max or PMax, again, broad, DSA, RSC, PMax, or AI Max. But again, more of an expanded targeting product to match these new intents.
Brendan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there is also an element of to be able to show in these experiences, you need highly contextualized message. And this is where we feel that AI Max with text customization is well suited to like really tailor the message to the broader context. So would you say that this the likelihood to show are higher or just like similar?
Right. So I would say, matching these new intents is only the first thing, right? I think what we're seeing is more traditional static text ads feel very out of place in these new experiences. And so that's where it is important to think about things like text customization, such that Google can craft a much more seamless answer that's contextually relevant to what the user is looking for. That would not only more likely be to show in these cases, but also perform better as well because it is more relevant.
Thank you. And I think we'll stay with you, Brendan, with the next question around, I think it's around reporting. And I've heard you talk about this topic before. So reading the questions, my biggest worry for AI Max is search term hidden. It's becoming increasingly common with broad match. I understand it's due to privacy reasons and long tail keywords, but what can be done about it? I think it's more about like reporting what users are searching for in this case of like very complex and long queries.
Mm-hmm. So just to reiterate, these changes were made to the search term report several years ago for user privacy reasons, to make sure that there aren't singleton private searches that are exposed to advertisers in reporting. So that's going to remain in place. We know this is a big pain point for a lot of advertisers, and we are looking into these experiences like search term insights, which try to provide more group summarized understanding of what the search terms were, and trying to build that out and make it a little bit more granular and useful where we can. So it's something we're actively exploring. I don't have any more specifics to show today, other than we recognize it is an issue and we're trying to find a solution that balances providing marketers with the transparency and data they feel they need to be effective, while also making sure we respect our obligations around user privacy as well.
Thank you, Brandon. We try to take a couple more questions before we have to close. I maybe turn to you, Laila. We have a question on reporting. If you can reiterate some of your message, where can I find created ad text assets and performance numbers from AI Max?
So regarding the assets, I recommend to check the asset report to see what assets were generated. You'll be able to see that at the expanded URL text. And I strongly recommend also to remove or do any kind of optimization when it's less relevant. And also in the search term report, you have the search term headline and landing page. That is an indicator of the journey user is going through from a search to a landing page as well. Also the keyword report, bottom line of the report, will show you the exact conversions that are coming from AI Max and some kind of a breakdown between the different features that were enabled, including the URL inclusions, for example. So I highly recommend to try and play and see what type of reports, and we've gone through 4 types of different reports. Try to see which one gives you the most insights. It's a new, it's something new to try and understand, and the reports are giving great insights for that. So I would highly recommend these places to go and look for.
Thanks, Laila. And we have a question on match types. So you've heard us talk about in AI Max the need to have keywords in the campaigns. And so the question was, what kind of keywords, broad, phrase, or exact should be used along with AI Max? So I will assume that this question is about like which match type should be used within. I would say it doesn't, I almost want to say it doesn't really matter. Because once you have a keyword, we will leverage the broad match technology applied to this keyword. The only recommendation we have for you is to have it in only one version. So typically, all of them in exact or all of them in broad. Like you don't need to have them multiple times. The only instance where you might want to have exact is for exact instead of broad in your campaign is for trumping purposes. If you want to make sure that this specific campaign is prioritized for exactly this query versus another campaign, you might want to keep them, but I'm not even sure. Like, Brandon, would you agree that exact would be best in this scenario? Or in the end, as long as the keyword is the same as the query, we don't really mind.
Yeah, I'd say as long as you don't have duplicative keyword text across different ad groups or campaigns, it really doesn't matter the keyword type within the AI Max campaign.
Yeah. Great, thank you for confirming. All right, so we have 3 minutes left. We take one more questions and then we'll let you go. Okay, if I'm already using broad match keywords in my campaign along with a dynamic ad group, so I guess an hybrid structure, will AI Max bring additional traffic? Brandon, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I would say most likely yes, because the broad ad groups will take advantage of some of these additional signals like the landing page and keyword list matching, assuming it's not perfectly overlapping with the dynamic ad group you have set up. And in particular for your broad keywords, having the ability to do text customization or even final URL expansion will also make sure that these wider queries you're already getting from Exact have tailored creative such that they have higher click-through rates and perform better as well, which brings incremental performance.
Thank you, Brandon. Great. Thank you so much for all your questions. Unfortunately, we didn't cover all of them. We'll see what we can do with our great marketing team to make sure we can give you answers offline afterwards. We will share with you the recording, the deck within the next couple of days. So if you want to go back to some of the content, especially the great screenshots for reporting that Laila presented, I think it could be helpful for you to just like help navigate and see where their performance are visible, these sort of things. We invite you to come back to this content. And we'll give you 1 minute left before maybe your next commitment to give us feedback. So please give us some comments, tell us how we can improve. It's super helpful for us. And we just want to thank you very much for taking the time to join us. Big thank you, Laila, Brandon, and the team behind the scene that made this deep dive possible. Really hope we'll see you again in a live stream very soon. Thanks, everyone.